So welcome. We're going to keep refining the practice of the 8 pieces of the silk brocade. Let's start off with knocking on the door of life, just to activate some energy centers, start to get our mind and body in the game. So the breathing is easy, in and out through the nose. In a moment, we're going to do a little bit bigger breathing to wake up the mechanical system. But right now, play this game of just letting the breath be super subtle, super easy as you start to connect to the energy that's getting mobilized by knocking across the low back and across the lower abdomen. The knees are nice and soft. The toes are relaxed like gentle kickstands. Then let's allow that knocking to go over the lung points, that place right between the chest and the front of the shoulder. And here the intensity is just an intensity that feels right. So if you knock too aggressively, it gets distracting. If you're too light, it's distracting. So just find that in between. And then let's go to the upper traps. Knocking on these points opens the door for a little more clear thinking. Nice, steady, easy breath. Back to the lung points. And then to the lower points. Across the lower abdomen, across the low back, right at between your second and your third lumbar vertebrae. You don't have to know exactly where that is. The nice thing is your hand's wide enough to hit the spot that you want. And now, make your way to a movement called water waves, where we just let go of the knocking, feel the air move between the fingers, then come to our first Wuji stance. Just a nice, comfortable, supported stance where the knees are soft, the crown of the head lifts skyward. We have this sense of the tailbone dropping towards the earth just as the crown of the head lifts skyward, and we find this place to settle. A good check-in point. And then spinal cord breathing. So here, go ahead and let the breath be big. We're going to just stretch the mechanical system of the breath. It's not our ultimate, not our best breathing pattern. It's just a pattern we can use to kind of open the gates. So a breath in as we open the chest. And a breath out as we round forward, using the motion to help push the breath out. Breath in to open. Breath out to release. Let's go one more. Breath in. Breath out. And then check in one more time. We're standing at the starting line now of our first movement. So we'll step the feet in just a little bit, hip width apart. We're going to do a movement called double hands holds up the sky, very similar to a Buddha holds up the earth or Buddha holds up the sky. We interlace the fingers with a breath in. We draw the hands up, turn the hands so they face skyward, come up onto the toes. And now here we're going to hold, not hold the breath. The breath stays steady. We hold the position. And then with a breath out, release the heels towards the ground, bend off to the left. I'm going to mirror your image. So we're opening the right side, the liver. And just keep the breath steady. And then when you're ready with a breath in, come back to center and a breath out to the other side. You can feel the breath in, help expand the side body, and with a breath out, you get to move just a little more. And then with a breath in, back to center, and a breath out to release. All right, that's 1 of 3. Let's go 2 more. So a breath in, we draw that energy up, we come up onto the bubbling springs, coming onto the toes, the palms face towards the sky. You can even take your index finger, the base of your index finger, and press it skyward, drawing the elbows back. The breath is steady, even if your ankles are wobbling a bit. And then with a breath out, bring the heels back down to the ground and open up the side body. Let's open up the right side by bending to the left. Nice, steady, easy breath. And then a breath into center. And a breath out to the other side. Breath in to open the body. Breath out to find a little more range. Breath in to center. And then a nice luxurious breath out to allow the energy to settle. Maybe take a moment and just acknowledge the power of that downward going movement right now, giving us a little momentum to lift it up. So a breath in. Nice full breath in. We come up onto the toes, palms face towards the sky, elbows draw back. Look up just a bit. Makes it a little bit harder balance-wise. And then as you're ready with a breath out, heels come down. Bend off to the right. Bend off to the left, opening up the right side. Right, left, I get a 50-50 chance. With a breath in, come up. And a nice easy breath out to the side. Breath in, open the side body. Breath out, release. And breath in to come up. And now enjoy this breath out. And release the fingers with just a nice, subtle, easy breath in up to the collarbones. And a breath out to settle. Nice in-between movement to go. As we go to the second movement now, pulling the bow. A little wider leg stance. Here we're going to draw energy up to the heart center. And then when we get to the heart center, we pull the bow. One hand pulling back, the other hand, index finger and thumb extending to give us a clear point of vision through. With a breath in, we draw that back to the heart center. And a breath out to stand a little taller. So a breath in to the heart center. Breath out, let's go the other direction. And this time come into a little bit of a squat with that breath out. Clear vision through the index finger and the thumb. Steady breath. Then a breath in to draw that in. And a breath out to stand a little taller. Let's go 2 more to each side. So a breath in. Breath out. Steady breath. Steady vision, steady intention. Draw that in. Breath out. Breath in. Breath out. Steady, easy breathing. Subtle breath. Breath in. Breath out. So one more time to each side. Breath in. Breath out. Breath in. Breath out. Check in with the toes real quickly. If they're gripping, just let them relax a bit. Let that integrity come from inside the foot. If you've got muscles deep in the foot, that'll do this for you. Breath in. Breath out. Feel how relaxing the toes actually just makes you a little bit more stable and confident. You tap into a different force than that gripping, than that trying. It's more a sense of knowing. Breath in, draw that in, and breath out. Nice, let's step the feet in. And again, just a nice cleansing breath into the collarbones, belly, chest, collarbones, and then release to settle a little deeper. The third position, owl looks behind. Relatively simple movement. We're going to open the thumbs, palms face up, thumbs turn to point back as we turn the head. Now the magic of this actually comes in what's happening with the kidney area. So typically when we come back into this position, we'll tend to close and compress here. The invitation with this is to keep this area open. So as we open with a breath in, the kidneys stay open instead of compressing. The symbolism behind that is, as we take that breath in, we draw in the wisdom of the past. Instead of compressing and blocking it, we actually draw it into the body. You don't have to know what that wisdom is, just trust that there's wisdom by looking behind and keeping the kidney area open. So a breath in and a breath out. Breath in. Breath out. Just alternating the direction that we look. And now there'll be a tendency with these simple motions to do a breath that's bigger than you need. So play the game of actually allowing the breath to be subtle. And in that, we can go deeper. You may notice that if you take a big breath, bigger than what you actually need, energy goes to the surface. But when we take that breath that's subtle, quiet, we go deeper. And anytime we play with the kidneys, we're tapping into that power, that ability to go deep. And release. Let's do that full breath, belly, chest, collarbones. Powerful settling. So let's do a contrast now. That was a relatively easy energy expenditure movement, just a little more mental work. And now we're going to use a position that's a little bit more physical. We're going to also use this as a way to blow off excessive heart energy. So this movement is called bend over, swing the tail. Sometimes it's called dog wags the tail. Sometimes it's called nourishing life. Little variations on them, but essentially that's the gist of it. So we come down into a squat. Hands can rest right at the crease of the hips. And then with a breath out, we'll turn to look over the outside of one foot. Then with a gaze intent on the floor, draw a line straight over to the outside of the other foot, and then with a breath in, come up. We'll alternate directions. A breath out is a sound. That's how we release the heart fire, excessive heart energy. So a breath out, and a breath in. Maintaining the squat. Many variations of this. This one's kind of a mix, an in-between of not the easiest version, not the hardest version. Feel how, as you dive over to look at the outside of that foot, you get a little lengthening in the side body. You can even magnify that with pressing away a bit with that opposite hand. Feel how that opens the side of the kidneys. Let's go one more to each side. The weight is even between the heels and the balls of the feet. The toes are relaxed because we're doing this out of knowing, out of confidence. And release. Shake the legs out. You deserve it. Shake the legs. Let's do another transition movement. A breath in. Soft, gentle belly, chest, collarbones. Profound settling. And let's go back to another relatively easy movement. And in that, we've got this invitation to go deep with it. So connecting heaven and earth. We're going to start with a recognizing, feeling, as sensing a ball of energy at the abdomen. This is our breath in. Included in that breath in, we rotate the ball. Then with a breath out, that top hand floats up like steam rising off of rice. And at the end of the breath out, we connect to heaven and earth, the sky and earth. And then with a breath in, condense that energy into the lower abdomen. Rotate the ball. Breath out. Small little pause at the top of the breath out. Connects to the depth, the quietness. And with a breath in, we draw that energy into the abdomen. Breath out. Connect. Breath in. Start that energy from above the head. Draw that energy down into the abdomen. Massage that energy, and then allow it to lift the hand up, connecting at the end of a breath out. Breath in starts from above the head. We draw that energy into the lower abdomen. Recognize that energy, and then allow that to lift the hand, steam coming off of rice. Connect. Draw in. Last one. Turn the ball. Breath out. Connect. Breath in. And release. Belly, chest, collarbones, settle. And so the next movement is called two hands climb the legs. We're going to start by just opening the kidney area up a little bit more. So if I show you from the side, the knees get to be bent. Now, if you can keep straight legs, if you've got better hamstring length than I do, fantastic. But no, the point of this is actually to open up the kidney area. So for me, I've got to let those legs bend a little bit. So we come to this bent forward position, just allowing this area to open up and for us to be able to feel the breath in to that area. So let's hold there just a little longer. The crown of the head just releases towards the earth. And just enjoy the belly resting on the thighs. Maybe a little stretch in the hamstring, but not much. Most of it's going into the low back, coming up to the mid back. And then the hands come to the inside of the arches of the feet. Then we're going to draw energy up the inside of the legs, come right up the front of the body. Hands extend towards the sky. And then with a breath out, we bring that energy down the back of the head, through the sides of the body, through the kidney area, and down the back of the legs. So we've got this long breath in, long breath out. So breath in, draw that energy up from the earth, through the kidney meridian, coming up all the way to the sky. Then a breath out, nice, controlled, long breath out, goes through the kidneys, down the back of the legs, and then a breath in. So take some good diaphragm control to extend the breath that far. Now, the ninja level of this activity is to not move a huge amount of air, but to do it in a very controlled, subtle way. And as we do that, we actually go deeper. So if we max the lungs out, taking a huge breath in, huge breath out, you'll feel that the energy kind of exists on the surface. Whereas if you can allow the volume of the breath to be relatively subtle, even though you're taking a long time to breathe in and a long time to breathe out, everything goes deeper. So that's the practice. It's sort of how deep can you go with this nice slow breath? And that comes from not restricting the breathing to a place of being uncomfortable, but taking it to a place where the breath is just a teeny bit less than you think you actually need. Because most of us, especially when we do a movement like this, we overbreathe. Our metabolic demand is relatively low, so it's really easy to breathe ahead of our metabolic demand. And when we breathe matched with our metabolic demand, or even just a little bit less, it can draw the mind to a deeper place. So that's kind of the fun and the magic of this big movement. One more breath out. Down the back of the head, sides of the body, wrapping around to the kidneys, bringing that down the back of the legs. And this time we'll just bring it up to the abdomen. And then take a couple moments to just connect to that. You may notice a significant shift in what that feels like. If so, cool. If you've got a bit of dizziness with it, that's a sign that you've been moving too much air. If instead what you feel is the whole system just goes quiet, and now your ability to let your footprint become really strong is there, if that's the feeling you've got, you're right on track. And then let's come to a wide leg stance. We're going to take that momentum of being able to go deep, and we're going to light up our intention. So we're going to do a movement called punch with angry gaze. And think of the angry gaze really as being more very focused and very intentional. So the hands start at the lower ribs, the waist. And with a breath out, we punch forward. And with a breath in, we're going to spiral, gather that energy, bring it back. The pace that we move is going to be approximately 5.5 seconds for a breath in, 5.5 for a breath out. Now, I don't know if I've got that precision. We're going to be close to it. We pick that because that brings us to a breathing pattern called a resonant breathing frequency that allows our heart rate variability to soar, to come to its best place. Somewhere between 4.5, 7.5 breaths per minute is our resonant breathing frequency. We're just born with that number, somewhere in that range. Most of us are about 5.5. Now don't get hung up in the technical part of that. When you do this practice on your own, just invite yourself to find that pace that just feels right. Not too fast, not too slow. The breath in and the breath out evenly matched. That's what the research says. Most of us, 5.5 breaths per minute, the inhale and the exhale evenly matched. We get a powerful bump to heart rate variability. That improves our ability to focus. It improves our resiliency. Improves sleep, decreases anxiety, lots of good stuff. So because of that, we're going to do this for about 30 minutes. That's not true. We're just about done. Let's go one more time with each. Breath out. Breath in. And release. One more movement. Let's do our transition movement first. Breath into the belly, chest, collarbones, and release. The next movement, the last one, called Eliminate 100 Diseases. I've also heard it called Eliminate 1,000 Diseases. Just think of it as eliminating anything that's bothering you. We're going to get a chance to work on stability of the ankles. We're going to go 4 different positions of 7 breath cycles. So the first one, once we come up onto the toes, is going to be to have the hands at the waist. Then we're going to go hands to the kidney as the second. Third one will be creating the space in the heart center. And then the last one, a little bit different. I'll show you when we get there. So the first one, hands come to the waist. Rise up onto the toes with a breath in, hitting the bubbling springs, and with a breath out, control the descent, heels come back. That's one. We're going to do 7 of those. So a breath in and a breath out. Nice steady ankles. Don't worry if your ankles are wobbling a bit. That's the challenge you're trying to bring to the nervous system. Breath in to come up and a breath out to drop. Breath in and a breath out. Let's go 2 more. And release. Coordinated with the breath. Breath in and a breath out. Hands come to the kidneys. Breath in. And a breath out. So in total, we will have done 24 by the time we're done. Breath out. Breath in to lift. If any of you have been to physical therapy before, you know that your physical therapists are terrible at counting. That may happen here as well. By original training, I'm a physical therapist. Like all of us with the job, hopefully we're a little bit more than our training. But I still carry that deficit of never really being able to count. Let's go one more and hope that's close to 7. And release. Third position, our lotus position. Just creating that sense of space in the heart. Breath in to come up. And a breath out to release. I'll see if I can do a little bit better counting on this one. Number 2. And release. Number 3. And release. Breath in. Breath out. Breath in. Breath out. 2 more. So these balance activities challenge the central nervous system in a good way, really balancing out activity between the right and the left hemispheres of the brain. Also pulling us out of our habitual thinking. And release. So I promise you one more round to 7. Here's how this one goes. We'll clench fists at the bottom. With a breath in, we rise up. And then the breath out, we're going to release. And just allow the heels to bounce into the ground with a heart sound. So that sigh right out the mouth. Breath in. Breath in. 4 more. And 1 more. Feel that tension in rising, tension in the fist, and then release. And that is our 8 pieces of the brocade, 8 pieces of the silk brocade. Let's do our centering movement now. One hand rests under the lower abdomen. We're going to go through this 3 times. The first one is a big breath in. Let's wake up the mechanical system. Big breath in, big breath out. Each one is going to get more subtle now. Let's stay big as we go to the other side. Big breath in, the belly, the chest, the collarbones expand, and with the breath out, we release that all. Let's find our in-between. Significant reduction in the breath. Easy. Breath in, breath out. Make all 3 of these very different than the one before. Breath in, breath out. And the last one, I really invite the breath to be subtle, knowing that that's going to give you more access to depth. Subtle breath in, subtle breath out, releasing tension in the mind, tension in the heart, allowing that energy to rest. Subtle breath in, subtle breath out. The mind, the heart, the lower energy center. And now take a couple moments in bamboo in the wind. Feeling those toes as gentle kickstands. The weight is even between the heels and the balls of the feet. The knees are soft. The tailbone is downward going towards the earth. The crown of the head just floats skyward. The shoulders are up and back, resting on the back of the rib cage, not pressed down, not lifting up. They're floating in that place of freedom. There's a sense of ease in the heart center and that space between the shoulder blades. This position gives us a clear vantage point. To connect to those two forces. One, that grounding that extends way beyond our feet into the earth. And then the magic that can come from that, the freedom and ease of the upper body to rock and sway. The state that we find ourselves is both ready for action and excitement. It's also ready for focus, concentration, and even relaxation. So whatever the next step of your day, I hope it goes well. Thanks for your practice.